City of Dunnellon City Council meeting, April 11th, 2022. It is now 5:34 p.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you all remain standing? I would like to invite a very special guest of ours, Father Paul, to come up and give our opening prayer. Father Paul, welcome.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for calling us to leadership, for being members of community. We ask you to bless this our town, Dunnellon, and all the deliberations that take place here this evening. May everything we do here be done with integrity and for the common good. We ask this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Everyone have a seat. Ms. Leonard, when you're ready, how about roll call?
I'm ready. Mayor White,
Present.
Vice Mayor Hanchar. Here. Councilwoman Kenny.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams is absent this evening. Councilwoman Cubbage.
Present.
We have Finance Manager Jan Smith.
Here.
Community Development Manager Jordina Sid.
Here.
Records Clerk Julie Danowski.
Here.
Chief McQuaig.
Here.
Lieutenant Yawks. Here. Public Works Manager Troy Slattery.
Here.
Did not miss you. And we have Attorney Brackens.
Here.
Proof of publication. This meeting was posted on the city's website, City Hall Bulletin Board, on Thursday, April 7th, 2022.
Okay, before we get started in our agenda, I'd just like to go over a couple house rules. Those of you that would like to speak, we definitely encourage and embrace public speaking. Limit your talk to 3 minutes. When you come to the microphone, please give your name and address. Realize that everything you say is being recorded. It will be permanent public record. It's also being zoomed to people that are listening in. So when you speak directly into the microphone, address the council, and we'll take it from there. We go to council comments regarding the agenda. Are there any council comments regarding the agenda as it's published?
Have none.
No, sir.
No, sir.
I would like to bring it to the attention of council that there is a request by Troy. He has a walk-on for additional information. He would like to present that after agenda item number 10. Is council okay with allowing a walk-on by Troy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Consensus is we're good. All right, very good. Now we go to public comments on non-agenda items. What this simply means is we open up our meetings with an opportunity for the public to speak on any subject you would like to speak of that is not on this agenda. If it is on the agenda, then you must wait until that agenda item comes up, and then you will again be able to speak. You are not limited to speaking one time. You can speak now on anything that's not on the agenda, and if you want to speak to anything that is on the agenda, including multiple items, no one will discourage that. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and like I said, we need your name and address. We start off with those that have signed up get to speak first. No one will be shut out. Those that haven't signed up, that after listening to a few things, they want to speak. Before we close out the public comment, anybody who would like to speak will then be given an opportunity. Ms. Leonard, do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir. Kathy Dunn.
Hello, Ms. Dunn. Name and address.
Kathy Dunn, 11386 Hendricks Drive. I was very gratified during the last city council meeting to hear that this council is going to look at code enforcement, and thank you so much. I feel like our elected representatives, though, need to start considering ways to provide for proactive code enforcement by utilizing the city staff that is already funded and in place right now. We can no longer afford complacency by saying we can't afford to hire somebody new because we have staff in place. And the section 2-202 of our city code book states the following: the manager may designate certain employees or agents as code enforcement officers. The training and qualification necessary to be a code enforcement officer will be determined by the manager or his or her designee. Employees or agents who may be designated as code enforcement officers include, but are not limited to, code inspectors, law enforcement officers, fire safety inspectors, etc., etc. I urge the City Council to immediately develop a plan for proactive code enforcement. We must use the city staff that we have in place. Our population has only grown 1% in the past 10 years. We haven't grown, so we've got to use the staff that we already have in place. The police department has a door facing the parking lot on the rear of the building that is labeled City Code Enforcement Office. Was this a function of the police department of past administrations? Citizens should not have to file individual and formal complaints to remove the plethora of signs advertising enterprises such as power washing or dog grooming that are randomly placed all over our city easements. This should be done routinely by staff proactively. Isn't this why we fund a city government? Also, property owners and landlords must be required to maintain their properties to a basic level of upkeep for the benefit of all of us residing and conducting business in Dunnellon. The other thing quickly I wanted to mention was, in working with the Public Works Department and as a beautification group, we have been so gratified by the accessibility and the response of this department. I feel like our department head in Public Works is not paid, considering the fact that he has given 27 years of his life to the city and the fire department. Also Matt as well. So I would encourage the city council to take up looking at that, because they are the most productive and accessible department in this town. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Leonard, who's next?
Wally Dunn.
Mr. Dunn. Hello, Wally.
My name's Wally Dunn. I live at 11386 Southwest Hendricks Drive. My non-agenda item is actually held in my hand. It's the agenda itself. Does anyone on the council or the staff know how long this agenda is going to take to go through tonight? The answer is no. We never know. It normally is 3, 4, or 5 hours, which I think is extremely long and terribly unproductive. When you have a council meeting that lasts this long, most people just leave. You guys on the council just don't even pay attention anymore, and we're not getting anything done. I think we ought to look at this agenda every month and decide what is critically important and cover it. If we have a number of outside speakers come, I would limit that to 1 outside speaker per meeting, because the agenda gets too long. The second thing is, as a member of the city, I can only speak for 3 minutes. I think we ought to limit the amount of time the council itself speaks. If you read the information you're given on this council and are prepared to speak when you're here, you don't need to speak more than 5 minutes. That's just a recommendation. But I think it's just ridiculous. Last meeting, which was a workshop, went till 9:30. That's 4 hours. That's ridiculous, because you're not getting anything done. The staff sits here, they have to lay late, and they're going to be tired and not going to get anything done. The other thing, when I look at this agenda, for the last 3 years, this city on the agenda, every agenda discusses one item. What item is that? our police department and the building. We have bought a building that didn't qualify. We looked at a number of buildings that do not qualify. It's time for the city to wake up to the fact there is not a qualified building in this town. We're going to have to build one. So quit wasting time on building the police facility that we need for this town. We're just going to have to build a new one. So quit running around spending money we don't need. I think it's time for the council to take and govern this city like you would govern a business. If I ran a business, and I ran a business for 45 years with a staff of 50, I never had a management meeting that lasted more than an hour and a half. And that's all you gotta have. If you spend more time on that, nobody's gonna pay attention. So it's time to trim this thing down and focus on what is really important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Leonard?
No, sir. No one else has signed up.
No one else. Is there anyone in the audience that did not sign up that would like to speak? No?
Tim Inskeep, 12140 Maple Street, Dunnellon. The subject I'm here for tonight is I'm trying to get I set a copy of this because don't speak that well, so y'all can follow it if you can't understand me. I'm having trouble getting a permit to replace the outside electrical panel by owner on mine and my mom's condo. The issue is I'm not a licensed electrician, but the law clearly states that I may do this work. And on the 15th of March, I contacted Duke Energy to explain the scope and find out how to coordinate turning off power with them. Duke's engineer assigned our area, contacted me, took details of the work scope, said he had to do some research and would get back with me. The Duke engineer contacted me back within an hour, said no problem, as the condo units are individually fed and we have you as one of the owners. Send them the meter number and they would schedule somebody to de-energize that unit. On the 21st of March, I submitted a building permit application with the city planning department. The conversation went from, bear with me, this is my 4th day on the job, which is fine, we've all been new, have no issue with that, to, you can't change the panel, you have to be a licensed electrician. When I explained I don't think that is correct, the law states the owner may perform this scope, I was asked to come back 8 a.m. the next morning to meet with the building inspector as he is the expert. 3:22, I arrived at City Hall before 8 o'clock. Upon arrival, was told the building inspector was not going to be in today. Was told a fill-in building inspector would go look at the work site and someone would get back with me. Since no one contacted me, I called the city permit office about 5 that evening and was told I couldn't do this work as an owner because the fill-in inspector said the condo units are all fed by one source, not individually fed. This is incorrect. They are individually fed. Contacted the permit office on the 24th, which is a Thursday. The inspector works Tuesdays and Thursdays for Dunnellon, to see if the building inspector was back to work. He wasn't. My understanding is he had a family emergency, so that's naturally very understandable. On the 29th, the next Tuesday, I met with the building inspector, went through the scope of work that I wanted to perform, and he said he needed to do some research and would get back to me. So as of last Thursday, on the 7th of April, after a few conversations with the building inspector, he stuck on the term condo, saying he has no experience in this area. The building inspector says that if it were a townhouse, dual residence, etc., no problem, the owner can perform the work, but he can't find any information with the term condo. I explained the law, the statutes are actually easy to find and understand, so I don't understand an estate with so many condos that his company couldn't readily provide him with that information. I keep getting told by the inspector, I'm almost there, but I can't quite get over the top to the other side for you. I'm going to need some help. I don't even know what that means, so I'm here before the council now to try to get some help to do something the law says I can do, but I'm unable to do because of the inexperience of those involved to obtain a permit. Basically, it's I don't know, so you can't do it. Wow, good thing I practiced this. So I'm here to try to do what I'm allowed to do under the law. And I'm stuck. I'm stuck in a do-loop.
Tim, let's call City Hall and let's set up an appointment. Come on in and let's talk about this.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And sir, if I
Yes.
may,
Yeah.
I'll ask somebody that I might know personally that has inspections and even maybe ask the county Inspector, if they can direct us to the correct codes. I know you have the codes, but I'll just make sure that we have the correct codes, and I can give those to Georgina, and then if you want to talk to him individually, that's fine, okay? Would that be all right?
Yeah, fine. But definitely, let's talk about this. All right.
And I'll take your information home and show the person that I know.
All right, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address City Council? Yes, Art. Name and address.
Yeah, Art Jones, I live at 12163 Palmetto Way here in Dunnellon. I'm so happy the council at the workshop last Wednesday got to meet the people from Sea and Shoreline and hear what they can do. These people have been absolutely great down in Crystal River, cleaning Crystal River and planting eelgrass, and we finally made a turnaround down there. As we all know, the Rainbow River is absolutely beautiful, but it's in a little bit of a decline. They've been using herbicides on the Rainbow River for the last 30 years. These herbicides include diaquat, fluoridone, and endothol, and diaquat bromine to kill aquatic weeds and vegetation to control it. Right now, that's the only method they have to do it. I was at a Springs conference this weekend, and one of the gentlemen talked about the fact that some of these chemicals aren't too bad by themselves, but once they get down into the bottom and the benthic mats, they can combine and create a toxic mix of chemicals. We don't want that stuff in the river. So I want to save the Rainbow River, from further decline. These people that came here last Wednesday, they're the contractors that can do it. I brought them up here and they said they can do it. So the next step is to raise enough money so that we can do the benthic and aquatic research survey. In other words, go down there and see exactly what's there. Measure everything, map it down, see how deep it is, see where the actual bottom should be, and map it all out. And then they're going to collect all that and create a work plan to do that. And they're going to design it, how we're actually going to do it, how it's going to work, reach out to everybody, and then we put together our permit application. So we get all of the permits needed ahead of time in order to submit for a request for legislative appropriation up in Tallahassee. This is exactly how we did it in Crystal River, and exactly how we did it in Homosassa. In Crystal River, we just got another $10 million to continue our work. We got the same in Homosassa. There's $50 million up in Tallahassee that's been set aside just for Springs funding. So this is what we want to do. So my organization, One Rake at a Time, we're the lead on it. We're going to take care of the program, and we're just asking everybody to help. Everybody that lives on the river to help. I'm here at the city because you represent a lot of people that live on the river. You represent the city of Dunnellon, and this is our river, and I would love to have you help us raise some money for that. So anything that the city can help out with would be greatly appreciated. And if you kind of take the lead on it, that helped down in Crystal River. We went to the county and reached out to other people too.
Sir, are you going to be also asking, because I know we only own, or not own, but work on a certain part of the river, so are you also going to take this project to the county?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume, but I don't know. Like assume.
It was the same thing in Crystal River. Certain parts of Kings Bay were in the city limits, other parts were in the county. The city of Crystal River donated, or pledged, donated $25,000 to the project.
How much was their survey?
It was about $250,000 the first time we got that started. The county kicked in $225,000. So at that time, it was even more expensive to get it started. But now that these guys have been doing it for a few years, they know what they're doing. It's a little bit easier. And they've already proven, the real beauty is they've proven now that if we remove the muck and get rid of that hydrilla and plant eelgrass, the eelgrass will outcompete the hydrilla, and we won't need to use any more poisons. So this is how we can get off the poison train.
Thanks.
Something like that.
I have a
question also?
Ms. Leonard, let's put this on the workshop for next month. Okay, make it quick.
Yeah, is there any money available right now through the state since the Rainbow River is an aquatic preserve? I would think that since the Clean Water Act of 1993 mandates that that river be maintained in a proper way, I would think there'd be some funds available simply for the survey. Has anybody investigated that yet?
I'm just hiring someone now to help me out with some of those ideas. Like I say, we started grassroots in Crystal River and we just asked everybody. And whoever could help out helped, and we were able to do it. Sometimes the agencies help, but it's not initially. They like to see the community support first. But yeah, if there's money there, I'm hiring this girl, Michelle, who used to help us down in Kings Bay, and so she knows, and we'll certainly look into that. Yeah, reach out to everybody who can help. Because we're actually, for just the survey alone, we need $150,000. But now we're going to have other expenses like hiring Michelle, so we really should raise some money for that too.
Yeah.
So everything would help.
One more short question. Have you contacted Jeff Sowers yet, who is the manager of the Rainbow Springs Aquatic Preserve?
I've had several conversations with him in the past about how we can stop herbicide use.
on money. I'm
Er-
talking about money that would be available. I would think he might be the guy to number one.
Yeah, like I say, I've had conversations about how we can stop herbicide use, and they gave me a permit for hand raking the Lingvia out, or the hydrilla out. So mechanically removing it is the best thing.
Of course.
We don't want to just blow it
I
out down the
understand the
river.
process.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, Mr. Jones, thank you so much.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Ms. Leonard, is there anybody on Zoom that has flagged that would like to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, please make note that the public has had its opportunity to speak to council. It's 6:55. We move on now to the consent agenda. If you have a copy of the agenda in front of you. The consent agenda, just to go over, is something that council has already discussed at the workshop and has consensus on. That will include numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 1 is the minutes. Number 2 is the proclamation for the Motorcycle Awareness Month. Number 3 is the proclamation to honor the Women's Club of Dunnellon. 4 is to a proclamation for Public Education Foundation. And the 5th one is the amended contract between the City of Dunnellon and the Little League. At this time, does anyone from the public want to speak to the consent agenda? That is items 1 through 5. Anybody on Zoom?
No, sir.
Okay, please make note that there has been no public comment on the consent agenda. Do we have a motion from the council to approve the consent agenda as printed?
I would like to approve the consent agenda, removing item number 5 for discussion. Please.
Great. Item number 5 has been removed from the consent agenda, and it will be discussed. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? That would be items 1 through 4.
So moved.
We have a second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait a minute. I thought I made a motion, so my motion needs to be second, correct?
Technically, it's consent agenda. You moved to have number 5 removed. The mayor removed it, but if you wanted
okay,
that to go
sorry.
through. So it's just 1 through 4 that was
Okay,
motioned and
sorry.
second.
I
Confusion.
mean, a council request is automatic.
You're fine, yeah.
Oh, I thought I was making a motion, sorry.
Right. All right, we have a motion for approving the consent agenda as it is, 1 through 4, and a second by who?
Jan.
Jan. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Okay, we're going to schedule that one a little later in the meeting because we have some proclamations coming up.
Fine.
Consent agenda has been approved. Now we're going to the regular agenda. Those that are following, we are now on item number 6. This is a presentation of proclamation 2022-03 to Reverend Paul E.C. Hamilton. Okay.
Proclamation number PRO 2022-03 in honor of Reverend Paul E.C. Hamilton. Whereas the Reverend Paul E.C. Hamilton is about to embark on his 50th anniversary to the ordination to the priesthood. And whereas Father Paul has been a parish priest in 15 parishes, served in 5 hospitals, and has had a distinguished teaching career in 6 colleges or seminaries. He has been a psychotherapist and drug counselor in 3 renowned clinics and founded 3 well-known not-for-profit corporations in 1988, 2001, and 2021. His private psychotherapy practice, now in its 43rd year, has changed the lives of couples, families, individuals, and clergy alike. And whereas Father Paul spearheaded the development of Dunnellon Community Services, a nonprofit organization that offers free healthcare clinics, welcomed a group of Jewish women looking for a place to hold services, honored local heroes at the 25th anniversary of September 11th, and launched a Spanish ministry at the Church of Holy Faith. Father Paul firmly believes the church exists to serve people outside itself. And whereas under Father Paul's administrative leadership, the Church of Holy Faith raised $7,300 for missionary work in Bor, South Sudan, and is currently overseeing the expansion of the existing church building to accommodate both religious and community services. And whereas Father Paul is a positive force in the Dunnellon community, which is evident by his involvement with the Dunnellon Chamber and Business Association, as well as the food pantry he offers for people in need. And whereas Reverend Father Paul E.C. Hamilton commemorates his 50th anniversary, being known by his many titles of priest, doctor, psychotherapist, drug counselor, professor, headmaster, founder, and international guide. He has a broad and rich career serving as a healer, pastor, mentor, educator, and inspiration to countless New Yorkers, Floridians, and international Christians. Many can and will testify to his influence and devotion to the church, along with his dedication to personal and institutional wholeness. And whereas Father Paul will be celebrated on March 25th by his church, family, friends, and communities from all around for the services and sacrifices made by this outstanding religious servant. We commend him for his steadfast Christian leadership over the years. Now, therefore, be it recognized the Dunnellon City Council honors the 50th anniversary of Reverend Paul E.C. Hamilton and proclaimed Friday, March 25th, 2022 as Father Paul E.C. Hamilton Day within the city of Dunnellon, and urges the citizens of Dunnellon to acknowledge the occasion of this day. He has earned the respect and affection of the residents and friends of Dunnellon. Passed and proclaimed the 21st day of March, 2022.
And one thing I have to say is the best is yet to come. Right? Right? And Dunnellon's gain is New York's loss. All right, another hand for Father.
I'm always prepared. Thank you very much. Very kind of the mayor and the council. When I first came here, I immediately read the book about the boomtown days of this town. And I assume that many of you have been hearing the booms that are coming from Blue Cove, where our church is. And you heard some of the things that are going on. We've just begun in not-for-profits, and we hope to do senior citizen housing and serving Spanish community, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to note that in the history book, it says that the leadership of this town has not always been so friendly with ministers. In fact, I have a quote from Albertus Vaught, when he went around to a church and heard the sermon. And I know the mayor has heard mine, so there's no comparison. But this is what Albertus Vaught said about having gone to church here in Dunnellon. Quote, "A little express knee-headed blonde fellow from Georgia was in the pulpit. Not seeing him from the size of his voice, one might safely infer that his mouth was 600 yards wide. If there be any souls in hell, and it be no more than 5 miles away, they hear this chap's Sunday prayers." But I can't say that about this mayor and the leadership of this town. We have begun a wonderful relationship, and I'm honored to be here. I'm going to plant myself firmly in the ground here, as you have, and we all have much work to do. And thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Father Paul. Now we're at agenda item number 7. We have a special presentation for Barbara and Jim Gissy, who are in the house. Hello, Jim. It's been a while since you've been in the room. Is your mic here? Okay. All right, I'm going to read this right here. I love my brother, he can film. Yeah.
From the back?
This is Mr. Jim Gissy. This is from the city of Dunnellon. The City Council Certificate of Appreciation presented to Jim and Barbara Gissy. In recognition of your generous contribution to the Dunnellon Little League program and sport complex, your support will provide funding for much-needed repairs and improvement at the Little League ball fields. You are hereby commended for your generosity, which will afford the youth and volunteers at Dunnellon Little League an upgraded, modern facility to be proud of. With heartfelt gratitude, pride, and appreciation for your commitment to the Dunnellon Committee, Dunnellon City Council, April 1st, 2022, signed by the entire council. And there's more. We also have a little memento here, an autograph. It's one of the first times in my life I remember autographing a baseball. So you have the entire city council autographing a baseball.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, council, come on up and.
Yeah, I've seen thousands.
Would you like to say a few words to us?
Well, this wasn't necessary, but it is, I appreciate it. It's nice to be recognized. But, really, I don't really have much to say other than just thank you. I would say this, I I was hoping, I stopped over before I came here to donate another 5,000 to help pay for the playground equipment they had delivered. But I noticed they hadn't done any of the work yet. So I asked them, I said, oh, they were waiting for the lease to get finalized between the city and the county. So hopefully as soon as that could get done, I don't feel bad getting the word before the work's done. But anyway, the check's been deposited, so I'm sure it'll get done. I also would like to say something to the city council. Kevin Shepherd, everybody knows he's a local gentleman here, and he's my ranch manager and spring manager. I've also recently purchased the Cool Springs Ranch up here, and part of that is in the city limits. And he's made me aware that working with the city now is completely different than before, in a much more positive way. And I think the city council should hear that anyway, that, and even the citizens should hear it. You know, just from a taxpayer and a citizen that's here, I'm just telling you, as far as working with the city, everything we need for permits or whatever, though, it's all very, very positive. So whatever you guys are doing, it's much better than the old regime or whatever you want to call it, as far as we're concerned. And I just thought I would at least share that with the people, you know, for whatever reason. But I want to thank you there. Huh?
Much appreciated.
Yeah, much appreciated. So I just think that people, the local people should hear, you know, as far as doing business, I mean, my people here are doing business and they're telling me that it's completely run so much more professional than it was in the past. So I'd like to take my hat off to the council and all the employees that are working for the city. So at least that's the response that my people are having. So I wanted to share that with everybody. And I don't think I have anything else to say. Just hopefully get that lease finalized relatively soon and the county getting the work done. And it's in a good thing. I mean, I was even tonight, I was over there, they're already getting ready for ball fields. And you see us, a lot of local kids, and the county helped out too. They put in 50,000 because a lot of those kids are in the county, not even in the city, but it's nice that they're able to use the facilities too. So that's all I want to say. Just thank you very much.
Mr. The question that I'm asked often is those pillars you have on your property, which are beautiful.
Yes.
What is the goal?
Well, I'll tell you, there's going to be a beautiful fence built, and if you've been by there, like we had the problem was we've been waiting on this fence. I don't want to use the word, you'll see it built within the next 60 days, okay? They started about a week or two ago, but they had to take last week off because they had another job, and we knew that. We said, just start it, and you can go for a week and then come back. But it's just going to be done out of wood now. It'll be a beautiful wood fence. What happened is we were trying to put that fake fence, you know, that fake plastic wood, you know, and we couldn't get it. I mean, they kept telling us, oh, you'll get it in April, you'll get it in June, you'll get it then. And the original price was $186,000. Then we got a call about it.
I think they really want to know if you're going to put it into any kind of development or anything is what they've been.
No.
That's what everybody comes to be about.
No, not that. No, you're talking about the fence. Yeah, I'm explaining why it's not finished yet, okay? Why it's finished is because we couldn't get it. You know, they kept saying, well, we're selling all the white and tan we can make as fast, and the brown that I wanted, it was $186,000. So then we get a call a month ago, and they go, oh, we can finally make your brown now. I said, okay, good, but it's $455,000. So then we just said, screw it, we'll put a wood fence in. So there'll be a beautiful, what's the name of the wood, what's it gonna be?
Crossbuck.
Crossbuck, there'll be a beautiful crossbuck fence built there right now. In fact, when are the workers coming back? Because you said they were gonna start today. This coming week. So that's what it is. The delay has been waiting on the product and then finally saying we're not gonna use that product. So it'll be wood instead of.
One thing I can say to you is I put wood fencing up on my property 12 years ago, and it looks good as new. So if it's treated right and painted.
Well, Kevin what did you get? Tell them what you got. You got the best wood they make, oversized. What?
Marine grade pressure treated lumber.
Marine grade pressure treated to what size? We went with bigger poles.
6x6 posts with typical 2x6 boards.
Yeah.
Kevin's a good guy, so I know it'll be done well.
Yeah, I've been as frustrated with that fence as you have. So I've been wanting to get it done. That's why I said, let's just do it. So you'll see the most beautiful wood fence relatively soon. And it'll be stained and kind of, we're talking about kind of a brownish red, you know, cedar red color.
You're good.
Thank you so much. Please come and visit us from time to time.
Okay,
We'd love
thank
to
you
see
very much too.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Okay, we're going to our,
Can I comment, for the sake of Jim, I have a comment or a little story to tell. We'll follow on with this.
okay. For those of you that are wondering why our meetings are so long,
All right, I'm Bert Eno. I live at 9220 Southwest 193rd Circle in Rainbow Springs. And this past weekend, I attended the Florida Springs Council Summit meeting. There were hundreds of people there from all over the northern part of the state particularly. And I was representing Rainbow River Conservation in going there. While there, I was asked to relate his success story, an advocacy story that resulted in success. And I thought about the project that Jim had posed a while back, a couple years back now, about the resort and the way that the public felt about it. And after seeing, in fact, how the public felt about it, that Jim came down here and said, look, I realize the public is not in favor of this. I'm pulling my permit. I'm not going to do it. And when I uttered those words to 130 people in the audience, they all stood up and cheered. I want you to know that's the kind of appreciation people have for a convert to conservation. Thank you very much, Jim.
okay, now we're moving to our last proclamation. This is the motorcycle safety awareness. I did see 5 or 6 motorcycles pull up. I'm sure you're in the audience.
Yes, sir. We have, from the Forest chapter, we have John Mellon, the ABATE president, Bridget Pace, the vice president, Russell Pace from Public Relations. We have Stan Menendez and Paul Zangline, who are just cool biker dudes. Proclamation number PRO 2022-04, Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. Whereas motorcycle riding is a popular form of recreation and transportation for thousands of people in Marion County and Florida's mild climate, its scenic roadways make motorcycle riding an enjoyable experience throughout the year. And whereas Marion County's growing population, seasonal residents, and travelers using Marion County roadways make motorcycle safety an important issue for all drivers, and the safe operation of a motorcycle requires the use of special skills developed through a combination of training and experience, the use of good judgment, and a thorough knowledge of traffic laws and licensing requirements. And whereas motorcycling can be an enjoyable activity when safety is a paramount consideration and all regulations are observed. And whereas there were 643,335 motorcycles registered in Florida, with 14,730 in Marion County as of March 6, 2022, along with 1,373,517 motorcycle endorsements in Florida, with 35,321 in Marion County as of July 1st, 2021. And whereas to prevent injuries and deaths on roadways, it is important for motorists to always be vigilant in their efforts to share the roadway and ensure safety for everyone. And whereas motorcycle organizations, clubs, dealerships, groups, and highway safety officials in our county are encouraged to join the Florida Rider Motorcycle Safety Program, the State of Florida Incorporated, and all motorcyclists in actively promoting safe operation, increased rider training, improved licensing agreements, and motorist awareness. Whereas the Motorcycle Safety Foundation has designated the month of May as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, as recognized by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Governor of the State of Florida, to encourage other motorcycle vehicle operators to be cautious and observe these vulnerable road users on Reddick streets and roads. Therefore, be it proclaimed, the City of Dunnellon hereby proclaims the month of May 2021 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, duly proclaimed this 11th day of April 2022. We will need to fix that.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, very good.
Give that sign, you see it somewhere prominent for people to see it during the month of May. If you got a spot that meets code enforcement requirement, we there all year. And if anyone else would like signs, we contact us and we can give them to them free of charge.
Safety awareness program. So if anyone in the city of Dunnellon would like their organization or public works department to have us come and give an approved course for motorcycle safety awareness, we'd be happy to do that. Just contact us.
We'd love for you to come back. Love for you to come back and maybe speak to us.
Sure.
Can I take a minute?
Okay.
My name's John Malin. I'm the president of Forest Chapter. I'd like to thank my chapter members that came along with us. We've got a group of about 200 motorcyclists. Dunnellon's a special place for me. I kind of grew up in Dunnellon, between Ocala and Dunnellon, because my grandmother lived here in Dunnellon. My mother's a graduate of Dunnellon High School. So I spent most of my childhood over here on Rainbow River and Fox Springs swimming and fishing. And, you know, we are a motorcycle safety organization. We encourage continuing education of motorcyclists. And as Bridget said, we have a motorcycle safety awareness program that's available free of charge to any group that wants to sit and listen to it. It's not a how to ride a motorcycle class, it's how to share the road safely with motorcycles. I don't know, if the city, you've got driver safety briefings you're supposed to have. If you would like a guest speaker, I'd be glad to go over and talk to your drivers. Just contact us through the contact information you've got. We've all got a brochure on the program. The entire program's about an hour long, but we can tailor it to any time frame you've got. If you got 10 minutes, we'll do 10 minutes worth. If you got 3 minutes, we'll do 3 minutes. If you got an hour and a half, we'll stretch it out and make it an hour and a half. But it's normally about an hour. It's a combination of videos, speaking, and group participation to get through the program. Share a little piece out of that program. We talk about blind spots. It makes it hard to see a motorcycle. The motorcycle's small to begin with. You got blind spots built into your car. My pickup truck has a pillar on the doorpost that will hide a Toyota 4Runner, so it'll probably hide a group of motorcycles. So you always got to look twice to save a life. Besides the built-in blind spots, you got blind spots you create. You hang your little work tag or your handicap placard or whatever, your graduation stuff, feathers, whatever on your rearview mirror. That will hide a motorcycle. And it'll also hide a child. We're talking about children on the street. They're more important than us. If I go, I know where I'm going. I'm ready. But I'd hate to see a child go because you created a blind spot in your car. When you pick up your clothes from cleaners, hang them on the driver's side. There's a blind spot there already. You hang them on the passenger side, you're creating a new, very large blind spot. Little things you can do will save lives of not only motorcyclists, but children, police officers, road workers. A set of clothes can hide a car or a school bus or something. So take time for the little things, and you can save a life. And thank you for the proclamation.
Very good. Good stuff. We're just going to take a second and let everybody who is leaving leave so everybody can hear what's going on.
There goes the crowd.
Okay, we're about ready now to enter into the business side of this meeting. And you can see how interested everyone's in the business side of it. We know what to do if we want to vacate some seats. So, for you that are following along, we're going to have a public hearing statement, and then we're going to go to item number 9 on the agenda.
Did we want to do number 5 real quick?
Yeah, we can
Go
do
back to
that.
5 and then do the public?
Okay, yes, we can do that. We certainly can do that. All right, item number 5 on the consent agenda was the Little League agreement that Vice Mayor wanted to pull that from the consent and rediscuss that. Vice Mayor, it's what you have to say.
Do we need public comment first? Because we'll be a
Okay,
vote.
you're correct. Would anybody like to speak to agenda item number 5? It's the amended use of the agreement between Dunnellon and the Dunnellon Little League. No one on Zoom? This lady?
No, sir.
Okay.
Just real quick before we go in for a vote on this. I had an email on Sunday night, and then I spoke with the secretary of the Little League, Dunnellon Little League, Nicole, and I guess they have just some questions, and I think, did we get all the questions? Did we get everybody's questions? I just want to make sure that we go ahead and give them a copy of our lease agreement that we have with Thanks. Greenway and Trails, thank you. I know you and I know what we're talking about, but nobody else will. And then they did just want clarification when it says open to the public, that it doesn't mean that anybody can just come on, because in another section it did state that it was open to the public, but yet it had to get authorization. So they just wanted some clarification on that. And I mean, yes, they should call their own attorneys, but they called me, so I'm talking to you now. So if you could just address that real quickly.
Sure. Is there a particular provision in the lease agreement that you're talking about?
Yes, sir, I am. And that provision, you know what? I left it on my printer at home.
I'll find it.
I apologize. It basically, and I'm sorry, I don't have it. I printed it and I just realized I left it at home in my bag. So I didn't bring my bag with me. So much for being organized. But it was basically, it said that this, that it is a public use, and I tried to explain to them, well, anything that the city has or owns, it's has public access, but there are rules and regulations. You just can't come and start having parties here or at like the Ernie Mills Park, I gave an example of. I know that when they do the Christmas parade, that they had to get permission, right, Troy? From the Little League to go out there and do the Christmas parade and all the.
They have to carry their own insurance and.
Right.
Event.
So, and again, their thing is like, well, we weren't on the board when this lease was originally done. So they just want to make sure that when it says public use, that it's, Section 8, Section 8. Thank you. So, and that was kind of their concern. And everybody out there is a volunteer, and I know how many hours they spend, so they don't want to be out there working everything, and then, like, I guess they have people that are taking their dogs out and letting them run on the field itself.
They're also having issues with the travel ball leagues.
That's
The lease
what's-
is between the city and the Little League, who's required by the lease to insure and to maintain the property. But then they have the travel ball leagues that have no financial obligation to the fields. They're apparently not keeping up with the maintenance, putting all the burden on the Little League.
And they just show up.
Right. And without scheduling for the field use or scheduling with who has the lease, right? And that's becoming more and more of an issue. So Adam and his wife have been locking the fields at night when they leave, or leaving them locked when they don't have games or events scheduled out there. So I think what they're trying to do is they understand it is a public facility, but it still has to be under some type of management.
It's like anything else. So the coordination clause in B is what I would point them to, that they have to coordinate under B. It's just, and, frequently in city parks, if you want to reserve a pavilion to do a kids' party, you can't just go and take it. There's certain steps you have to take. And that's not an open license for anybody to use it as they deem fit.
That's what I thought, and that's why I just wanted to get it from
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
authoritative voice. Okay, that's all I had. That was my only issue, and I just want to make sure that we brought it out in the public light, that they can hear this comment and know that we've taken it seriously. So, all right. Well, then, on that, I would like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign agreement AGR 22-08, amended use agreement between the city of Dunnellon and Dunnellon Little League Incorporated.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for clarifying that. Seems to be a topic lately with all of our parks, how our parks are to be used and by who. And what that is demonstrating is our parks are now starting to be used and there's competition for them. Or maybe in the past, no one really cared because there was no competition. So this is a good thing. Our parks are being used. Okay, we have a public hearing statement that will be read by Ms. Leonard.
All persons wishing to address the city council will be asked to limit their comments to the specific subject being addressed. Public opinions and input are valued by the council. However, it is requested that comments are directed at specific issues rather than personal comments directed toward the council members or staff in order to foster mutual respect between council members and the public. Members of the public in attendance at public forums should listen courteously and attentively to all public discussions before the body and focus on the business at hand. They shall refrain from interrupting other speakers, making personal comments not germane to the business of the body, or otherwise interfering with the orderly conduct of meetings. Members of the public addressing city council and boards or commissions on a specific project or proposal are requested to disclose any personal interest or relationship and any business, professional, or financial interest with any individual, group, project, or proposal regarding the subject matter under review. Members of the public should always err on the side of more public disclosure, not less, in order to provide integrity to the public process.
Okay. We're at number 9 right now. Do you read the intro to number 9 or is that something that I do?
No, sir, that's you.
Gavel down.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bracken, is it this time that you would like to make words to this, or do we do it after we do the gavel down?
You can, if you'd like, you can gavel down and read the title, or I can do it in advance. So it's your preference.
Just do it now.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so what you have before you today has to do with rate increases for the business tax receipt under the statute. It's making simple changes to the percentage. My office was contacted about another portion of your code, and specifically, and it's in the proposed ordinance itself. It has to do, it's under section 1, but on the second page of the proposed ordinance, where it talks about the rental of 2 or more properties or units shall qualify the landowner thereof as engaging in business under this section. And the question presented to me was whether or not, as part of this process, and this ordinance is coming to you at second reading for the changing of the rates, is it possible, yes or no, to also amend this section to change it from the rental of 2 or more properties to 1 or more properties? And my answer is no, for several reasons, that it's not appropriate at this particular stage for this particular ordinance. The first is rather simple. It's a substantive change to the ordinance. Right now, it's talking about rates at second reading. If you want to make a substantive change to the ordinance and address what I call as classifications, you should start over at that point. That's a short answer. The longer answer is a little bit more complicated and has to do with the statute itself. So we all know local governments don't have the power to tax unless the legislature gives you that power. This statute a long statute, but section 205.0535 gives you the power to do the business tax receipts. But at around 2007, the legislature passed a law that said by October 1st of 2008, you shall reclassify your business tax categories, for lack of a better word, at that time. You're allowed to do it after that, but in order to do it, you can do it through a 2-year process. You can do a new reclassification. Before you do that, you're supposed to abide by Section 2 and Section 3 of the statute, which says you appoint a commission, you do a study, all the things you need to do to create those classifications. Now, I know Mr. Hand has been looking at this issue. He's not here today for family reasons, which we can talk about later. I don't know where he was in the process of rendering an opinion about whether or not changing your ordinance from 2 or more rentals to be in a business to 1 or more, whether if he was of the opinion that that constitutes a reclassification. Me looking at today, I'd say the short answer is probably yes. However, and that would mean you would have to, before you could amend it, you'd have to appoint the commission, do the study, and then you amend it. So that's after today. But there's another possibility too. Depending on the legislature's definition of what constitutes going on as a business, it's possible that your current ordinance, your code, might technically be in error. There are other cities that have had business tax receipts and classifications that were in error. To fix that error, you don't have to appoint a commission. You don't have to do the study. You simply fix the error to make it consistent with state law. It's possible that under state law, having 1 or more homes out for rent for vacation rental constitutes the practice of business, and you should be able to regulate it without going through the study. Your code simply was in error, and you make that change. That's that opinion, whether it's A or B, an error, or you need to do your commission and your study, is better decided at a later date. So right now, you're looking at the rate increases, and that's all you should be looking at right now.
Thank you very much. It is now 6:35 p.m., and I close the regular meeting and open the public hearing to discuss ordinance 2022-04, amending section 18-49 of the Code of Ordinances by increasing business tax receipt fees currently listed in said section by the amount of 5%. 5% equals $2.87, as allowed by section 205.0535 for Florida statutes. Ordinance posted on the city's website on March 7th, 2022. Public hearing advertised on the city's website on March 30th, 2022, and advertised in the Riverland News on April 1st, 2022. At this time, do we have staff comments?
Mr. Mayor, I can speak to this. Basically, what this ordinance is doing is fulfilling the city's allowance to increase the business tax receipts every couple years. It has been since 2017, which was our last increase. So we're looking to increase it by 5%, which is all we're allowed to increase it at this time, going from $57.42 to $60.29.
So any business currently is $57 and change,
That's correct.
and it's going up to $60.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't make any difference if you're Publix or if you're hot dogs.
No, it
Right.
sure doesn't.
$60.
When the city originally set this up, that's when they had the opportunity to classify different businesses at different rates, and that was not done, so everybody pays the same price.
Another thing to shake your head about, right?
When was this done?
Originally,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have that history, I'm sorry, before my time.
Any other
You've been here for
staff,
how long?
17 years.
any other staff comments? Okay, now we are public comment. If anybody would like to make a public comment on this ordinance, What this is basically doing is adding $2 and change to the fees, your business fees. All right, please make note. No public comment. Anybody on Zoom?
No, sir.
It's flagged. Okay, public comment has been heard. It is now 6:39 PM, and I close the public hearing held to discuss ordinance 2022-04 and reopen the April 11th City Council meeting. We will now move to agenda item number 10, which is the final reading of ordinance 2022-04, the business tax receipt that we just talked about. This is the final reading. Any additional public comment before we have the final reading? Please note, no public comment. Ms. Leonard, anybody on Zoom?
No, sir.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move ordinance ORD 2022-04 be read by title only.
Do we have a second? Any discussion by council?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously 4-0. Ms. Leonard, please read.
Ordinance number ORD 2022-04. An ordinance of the City of Dunnellon amending Section 18-49 of the Code of Ordinances by increasing business tax receipt fees currently listed in said section by the amount of 5%. 5% equals $2.87, as allowed by Section 205.0535 subsection 4 Florida statutes, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. We need another motion for approval.
I move ordinance ORD 2022-04 be approved.
We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Kenny seconds. Any discussion by council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, now we're going to the walk-on item that Troy has asked and council addressed earlier. This will be right before agenda item number 11. Troy?
Good evening, council, and I think the backup for my request is at your desk in front of you. This afternoon, I was able to meet with a new contractor and obtain a quote for having the 2 additional pavilions built out at the city beach. This company is capable of a completed project, start to finish, materials, labor, everything included. It's for 2 pavilions to be built there at the city beach for a total estimated cost of $22,000. That is within our budget. We do have $30,000 in the budget for this project. And compared to the previous quote that I had received, remember last week, I was explaining to you about the hidden costs, the unknown cost factors, and so forth. They did come back with an updated estimate to include the bags of concrete needed, but no additional cost for the contractor or labor for using the concrete. In addition, I did find out that their recommended contractor from the previous company was not licensed or properly insured. So I'm asking council permission to go with this company, Central Florida Pole Barns, that I met with today and received the new estimate from, to complete this project. Now, I did just get this today, just met with them today, so I have a little bit of legwork to do, but I don't want to wait a whole nother month to get approval to move forward with this. If there's any hiccups or any hidden issues with it, I'll work with Michelle and Mandy, and we'll stop the project until we bring it back to council. But right now, it looks like a total completed project. They can also have wood and the metal roofing in stock within 48 hours of agreeing to begin the contract, and up to 4 weeks for the rafters themselves. Once they receive them, it's about a 3-day install process, 3 days maximum.
For both or for one?
Both will be done exactly at the same time.
So we have a motion and a second, and council can discuss. We have a motion to
So moved. So approve.
to allow Troy and the city to go forward on this project. You have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Kenny. Council, if there's any particular questions or anything you want to ask, now's the time to do it.
And this is the metal rafters, the black metal rafters.
It is, that's another good point. These rafters are painted, pre-painted before install, so they will be black metal rafters. The metal roofing, we selected a cocoa brown to match the shingles and the brown that's on the pre-existing pavilion that's out there. And in addition to that, there's cocoa brown covering over the
Boards.
rafter supports on the side, the boards on the side. So it'll blend in very well with the existing shelter that we have.
And that's the dry pour, the dry cement.
They'll
not
be
the wet
using bagged cement, yes. We will go through the permitting process. That is one thing I agreed to work with the contractor to go through the permitting process. I'll begin tomorrow working with Georgina to make sure that we don't have any issues with setbacks, since how we are close to one of the fences there by the bathrooms. And I'll work with the building inspector to get permits processed.
Any other comments before I ask the public if they would like to make a comment? So the 22,000 is for both, right?
For both of them, yes, sir.
So the public that isn't aware of this project, we have 3 concrete slabs at City Beach for picnic areas. There never has been a weather pavilion to get out of the direct sun or the rain. So we have already put one in about 6 months ago. We also budgeted 2 additional ones. So this is to have 3 weather pavilions at City Beach. So if you go to City Beach, if you want to get out of the direct sun or you want to get out of the rain, whatever, it affords you the opportunity. So we allocated $30,000 toward this, and we have got it done for $22,000. So we are well within budget. So at this time, before council takes a vote on it, is there any public comment on this? Any public comment on Zoom, Ms. Leonard?
No, sir.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. It has been discussed.
Mr. Mayor, I have one additional thing to add. On the last estimates we received, I told you there was only a 7-day binder because of the price of the market. It's the same with this company as well. So once we get approval tonight, if we get approval tonight, I'll work with them within that 7 days to lock this price in.
And that's the vote we're about ready to do.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to be
All in
upfront.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you, Troy.
Very good.
Thank you.
Troy.
Yes, thank you.
That is going to be a tremendous addition to City Beach. Tremendous. If you've ever seen some of these shelters, they are quite nice. I understand Vice Mayor has a shelter in your homes, right?
Oh, yes, it's lovely.
know?
No, it's my husband's pet project. It's about to drive me nuts. But yes,
Oh,
it is
sorry.
well built. No, it is well built and it's very similar to what this is.
All right.
It's one of those husband-wife things.
All right, now we're moving on to number 11, the discussion on police facility sites. As everybody knows, we currently have a contract for the sale of the Soul Harbor Church. They are still within their due diligence period, seeing if there are some issues. City Council has been aware there are a few concerns that they're going to address with staff and see if they can iron it out. But in the meantime, if we're going to sell the building, which it seems like we are, we need to start talking about where a new police station would be built. Mr. Dunn, earlier in his comments right at the beginning of the meeting, he pretty much summarized what this council has found after 2 years of discussion, that there is no current standing building within the city that could be converted into the police station because of the essential use requirements of an emergency shelter. They have to withstand codes that supersede what is normal. The whole concept is an emergency essential shelter must be able to withstand storms, floods, and whatever when other buildings do not survive. So you still have a police building, police force, fire department, medical buildings. So currently, that pretty much eliminates the idea of any current building that could be used. So it backs us into what has long been discussed as one of the options and has been discussed is to build new. And exhaustively, we have looked high and low, all of the council staff, looking for places with very expenses, various locations, the pros and cons, whatever. And there is one piece of property that is on Powell Road that fits within the parameters of what basically a 4,000 square foot building would need. And it's currently on the market. And I know myself, I don't know where else to go with this as far as trying to find a place. I think a lot of the properties that are directly on 41 are listed for $200,000-$300,000 now, very expensive. This piece of property on Powell Road is currently listed with a realtor for $90,000. I don't think we could do too much better on finding a lot. Now, there are some issues with it. It has been brought to our attention that it is in the historic section. But my response to that is right on Powell Road. Powell Road is a major thoroughfare through the historic section. It's right next to other businesses. And what I'm finding in government, rarely is anything you do perfect. Nothing you write, no ordinance is perfect, no decision is perfect. There's always things that have some rough edges to it. But when I add it all up, I really, unless someone else has ideas in council, this current council has been seated now for 1.5 years. So if anybody has any other ideas, it's for a location, it's time to divulge. We've had 1.5 years to come up with it. So where I'm at is, first we have to resolve the Soul Harbor Church situation, I believe. But I would say, my opinion is we need to take a good hard look at that property on Powell Road. And if council so feels, direct staff to at least do an analysis of it, make sure the zoning fits, make sure that the building would fit, make sure there's enough parking, make sure there's drainage and all that sort of stuff, and then report back to council at a later time and give us a recommendation if that site is feasible or not. So that's my statement, and anyone else who would like to speak, certainly you're welcome.
I just asked if we do that, we do it by May, at the May workshop.
Hey, Ms. Covich?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, compared to other properties that are offered along William Street, the price is very, very appropriate. Also, if you look at those other properties that are for sale, those empty lots on William Street right now, they all need filled. I mean, I'm not a landscape engineer, I'm not a county engineer, but having gotten out and walked around and taken a real good look at those properties, they need a lot of fill because when it rains hard, they are holding water. Okay, whereas the property on Powell Road is high and dry, level. If anybody wants to offer any other information, please do so. But just eyeballing the properties that are available without even regarding what they want for those properties, I know that we would not have to put a lot of money into it to get it ready to go ahead in a buildable condition.
Ms. Kenny?
Well, my comment is that we have learned in the past year and a half, and possibly before then, that due diligence is critical with this kind of a decision. This kind of decision will be a major decision for this city. And it is true that we are at a point where this particular council is on its way out. Timing to me is critical. For us to go ahead and make this important decision, knowing that in a very short time there will be a new council, and they will be then having to comply, whether they are in agreement or not with the decision that we made. I think that it might be more appropriate to table a decision until a new council is elected. That is my personal opinion.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
What's that saying that they do at the end of their terms? Dead duck session, is that the right term?
Lame duck.
Lame duck, dead duck, all ducks. I'll never be that person, and I'll never stop governing because of an upcoming election. So that would not be a direction that I would want us to go in. Plus, that would be the most unfair thing to do to our police department that are still having to work in a building that we have been told is not sufficient and not a good place for them to be. So, thank God we all still govern, even with elections coming up, because otherwise nothing would ever be done. How many years has this country been in existence, and we're still having to go off of rules and regulations that they made over 200 and I'm not going to do the math, years ago. So we definitely have to put our foot forward. We have to go forward. If the Powell property is the best and they are willing to sell it to us, or somebody doesn't buy it before us, so be it. As far as due diligence, absolutely. I guess maybe if any of the contractors, and we had multiple contractors look at the Souls Harbor Church, if any of them had told us that, hey, before you even bought it, that it wasn't up to the wind code that Mr.
Essential.
Yes, essential, thank you. Then, that would have probably made us look at the building different. But from the information that we had at those times, it was the place to be. So, again, I agree, due diligence, absolutely. Let's get this fiscally responsible to the taxpayers. Let's be responsible to our men and women who put their lives on the line for us each day, and they shouldn't have to be putting their lives and health every day when they go into their own office. So I don't want us to rush into this, but I want us to get it done. So let's work on that and put it on the May agenda, please and thank you. Yes, that was the other one.
And my comment on it is that this Powell property was sold or taken off the market. I truly have no idea, none, where we would go from this point. None, zero. And I do believe that this current council was elected to resolve this. This was in the last elections, this was a major campaign issue to resolve this. So this council, there was other things for sure, but this was one of them, to resolve this. So to take a position that we're going to sit back and wait till the next election and let the next council deal with it, I'm in agreement with Vice Mayor that we actually have an obligation to try to resolve this while we're sitting here. So what I would like, Mr. Bracken, if we're going to direct staff to look into this and then report back to us, do we actually have to make a motion to do that? No.
No.
Okay. Just it can be
You're
done
not
by
taking any formal
consensus.
action, just directing him to look into the Powell property, I guess, and to put it on the agenda for the workshop?
Yes. And do your homework on it, so we have all the answers, Georgina, on the viability of it and if it works and what would have to be done zoning wise. And, we need an in-depth analysis of.
Well, as a matter of fact, one of council reached out and asked for me to look into this. And I don't know if you're referring to 20580 Powell Road?
I believe so.
Okay, because I did look into it and it's currently zoned RVO. So you would have to do a rezone to be public in order for us to be able to have a public building there.
Mhm.
So the parameters of this property are pretty much the same as the Souls Harbor, as far as the zoning criteria and what you can have there and so forth. So you would have to do the same exact thing you did for the Souls Harbor.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there a consensus to direct staff to, number one, it will be put on the agenda for the workshop. And, okay, I think we discussed it. Anything else on agenda item number 11?
We have public comment.
Oh, yes, public comment. Yes.
We have Julianne Mendonça signed up.
Name and address. Hi, Julie.
Julianne Mendonça, 11894 East Blue Cove Drive. My feelings about the Powell property is that it's a historic district. It's an area with residences and churches. The city and the council have a responsibility to honor the comprehensive plan. It's over 20, I believe it's 20 years overdue from being looked at and updated. And the city has a history of making decisions out of convenience that go against the comprehensive plan. And when I see that property on Powell Road, and you can walk to the library, and you can walk to Publix, and you can walk to the post office, I wonder, why wouldn't that be a place to house families or elderly people? It's a really ideal, beautiful spot that's really convenient. And to put the police there because we don't have any other place to do it, because we've been talking about it too long, those aren't good reasons. And when you don't do things for the right reasons, then you end up with a lot of what we've had for years and years and years. So I really hope that all the energy we have in getting people to come up and have presentations about selling their products, of building these buildings that don't really meet our needs most of the time anyway, I wish that we could spend that time looking at the comprehensive plan and getting the foundation of our community in order before we just start striking things down because it's convenient and we have no other answers. At the workshop, Mayor, you had said that there was maybe like a rough plan and vision that the chief had submitted to Patrick Shepard regarding the police. And I was unable to access that in a public records request. So I'm just asking that whatever plans or vision, and I know it's a moving target and it changes, but I would be asked that that made available to the public because for so long we've been talking about square footage and hardening and windows and parking, but to have it on paper so that we all know what's being discussed and so that we can all do our homework, I think would really be helpful. I found the workshop, that presentation by just the next builder who's ready to come in and erect some walls, and I thought it was really disjointed. I thought it was something that really would not work in the best interest of the city. And I hope that as we look at the future of the police, we have changing demographics. There's a lot of changing technology, and maybe asking, maybe leaning on the chief who's at the end of his career and looking at really finishing strong here in Dunnellon, should we be leaning on him to develop the vision of the policing for Dunnellon's future? It's at the end of my career, I'm ready to retire. I'm not maybe necessarily really up on what's up and coming to build a vision for the future. So thanks for hearing my comments. We can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Thank you very much. Anyone else that would like to speak to this? This is number 11. Yes, Brenda?
With the Yarville 11661 Cat Drive, I do have to agree with some of the comments Ms. Bendoga made. I agree that it is a beautiful piece of property, but it still is in the historic district. It's still zone RBO. I've had at least a dozen citizens come up to me and say, has the city considered what has been suggested several times about approaching the owner of Gary's Carpet, making a bid and see if that is reasonable where that building is demolished. And then the new police station would be there on the main thoroughfare, very visible, where a lot of people I talk with feels that that is a more appropriate place than in the historic district. So that was just my comment. Thank you.
Ms. Leonard, in the workshop, something like that can be included in the discussion.
Okay.
I'd just like to have clarification. I don't want to be quoted that I like the Powell property because it's convenient or I don't have any other ideas. I actually like that spot. I think it's a great spot. And what I'm saying is, if we don't have that spot, now I don't know where else we would go. But I think right on Powell Road, which is a major roadway going through that area, high traffic, already has businesses on it. There is talk somewhere in the future of closing down 40 that goes through the historic section as a commercial route and rerouting commercial to Powell, which would be then a much different thing than what it is right now. I think we realize having 18-wheelers making right turns in front of Grumble's house is not anything that we want or something that's going to last going into the future. The answer to that would be to divert that commercial traffic to Powell.
It's funny you said that. I was sitting in front of my office today, and the landlord, there must have been 4 or 5 trucks. One of them was, I don't know, breaking their brakes, doing something super loud. And he's like, when are we going to go with the young lady that did all the beautiful drawings for us? That lived in, huh?
Renee Guillini.
Renee. And she did that beautiful drawing of how we had that street as the historic, beautiful street. And then we had talked to TPO about taking, with the county, switching ownerships and giving them Powell Road for that more traffic, because it is already commercial, sadly. I mean, I remember seeing cows on Powell Road, but sadly things change. So
Okay.
but it's funny that you said that.
Thank you.
Just discuss
Any
that.
additional comment?
I have comments.
Yes. Welcome, name and address, please.
Pretty blue dress.
Yes, my name is Nancy Ben Wyash. I'm at 11876 Cedar Street, across from the Grumbles house, where the stage was. Anyway, I own the property there next door to the police station, the automotive garage.
Transmission.
Right next door.
Yes.
The one that got hit by the drunk one night. Anyway, I had written a letter and said that I was offering that for sale. And for me, and I mean, I'm familiar with this house. This house has been in my family over 100 years, and I moved in. But I'm familiar with the city, even though I lived and was very active in Miami. But what I'd like to say is that the property there that you're talking about on Powell Road would be terrible for emergency vehicles to ingress, egress. Plus the fact, like you say, it is in the historical area. And I think cleaning up the historical area should be a priority with you all. Because as I walk around and I see lots and homes with grass and trees, jungles, something needs to be done about that. But again, I would offer my property. I'm right now at a point where I could go ahead and sign a renew my lease with the individual that's there now.
What is your
So-
property?
Right next door to the police station.
It's the.
The empty
garage.
lot?
Yeah, the garage.
Yes, the garage,
So
where it
that's
used to be Gould's Station.
Gould's.
And now, they're across the street. So I have the other property, where he originated.
Okay.
So anyway, if you're, I gave you a price, and when I sent in a letter that was when you were reviewing it, this was a couple of months ago, so I didn't hear anything, so I assumed that you had already bought something. But I mean, let's be logical. You're on a main drag there where the police station is right now. You have Gary's for sale, you have mine for sale. What a heck of a property that would be. And they would be able to get to any of the highways, 41, and be able to get anywhere where they need to be.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Can you send that letter in again? Because I don't know if we received it.
I don't recall.
really? Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd be happy to. Thank you very much.
Ms. Leonard, put this also on the workshop.
Yes, sir.
These 3 properties.
Thank you, ma'am.
The feasibility of any one by itself, the feasibility of Gary's Carpet and this other piece of property bought together, which would make a big area. So we need to come up with some options and
I'd like to make one comment.
Yes.
Before we would even put those further discuss, and that is those buildings, Gary's Carpet and the police station were built, 1930s? Okay, you literally step out of the front door of the police station, take one stride, and you're on Route 41. Seriously. If there was to be new buildings put in on that frontage 41 where Gary's Carpet and police station is, current code, Marion County Code would require at least I'm pretty sure I've already called and asked, you can check on it, 25-foot setback. Where are you going to park your vehicles? And the fire department has a contract to share the parking lot that's behind the police station. There is no room for a 4,000 square foot building with a 25-foot setback if you put those 2 lots together. And furthermore, the price on Gary's Carpet is, let's put it this way. First of all, somebody's gonna have to pay for the demolition, okay? There could be asbestos in that old building. That would not be a surprise. We're talking a big demolition, removal of the materials, and also the demolition of the police department, which might have possible asbestos in it because of the year it was built. So we're not just talking about the property, we're talking about the placement of the building, the demolition, and so on. I think we should not even further discuss those possibilities. Go on and start talking about that Powell Road property only at our next meeting.
Yes, Ms. Kennedy.
I definitely, having been in real estate, can tell you that there's not a day goes by that something doesn't change in real estate. And in terms of the lady's comment regarding ingress and egress on Powell, I agree 100%. In terms of emergency use, in terms of the kind of speed and the kind of needs that a police department would have, it would be very intrusive to publics and to, and in the past, we've had a good deal of problems with red light cameras in that particular area for that very reason. To be on Highway 41, which would give them a commercial exit, would be ideal. I don't know where it would be necessarily. It appears there's a possibility right now. But real estate changes, and due diligence and the way we handle the city's business is going to make or break us in terms of public support. And so I would just like to add those comments to the record.
If I can take my turn. The police station is a little bit different than your normal first responder. The fire department, basically, they are in their station and they wait for a call. And then from their station, they leave and respond to an emergency call. Certainly a fire station would be, and how they would have to come and leave from the station would be a consideration in a residential area. But what is much different with the police department, they don't sit in the police station waiting for calls. They're already out on the road. They're scattered all over the city. Normally, we have 2 officers on patrol who 95% of the time, they're not in the police station. They're already out on patrol and they respond to calls and emergencies from there. So I do not really perceive having a police station in a residential area problematic from the standpoint that you have speeding squad cars going in and out of the police station. It just doesn't work that way. As far as the comment, let's just focus on one. All I'm suggesting, and maybe what council is suggesting, is to direct staff to, number one, go to Gary Carpet's owner and find out what the bottom line is. Go to the lady that owns the property and what's the bottom line. Give us an idea, and Ms. Cubbage made some excellent points. With new construction, what different things do we have to do now? Do we have to have setbacks? Well, that would be part of the staff's report, that if you bought these properties and you demolished them, you really couldn't put a new building there because you would now have different codes that apply to a new building. So this is what council needs for staff to give us a report and give us the feasibility if these properties are feasible. And then from there, we can make a decision. Okay. So please put it on the workshop agenda.
I have one more comment.
Yes.
I'd like to ask our police officers sitting in the back, when was the last time any of your officers had to tear out of the police station parking lot?
I don't recall. It's been that long.
I'll even comment to that. My office is right there in the corner now. The fire department, they
Yes.
haul butt. I jump 6 feet because they flare that siren, I swear, right by my desk. And y'all do. I'm going to have a heart attack one day because of it. The police, I have never, and we've been over there for over a year now, plus I was always at my other building for a decade. They've never gone screeching up and down the roads with their sirens blaring. They might start doing it closer when you get to the red light, is maybe when they start doing their whirly twirls, if I've ever seen it at all. And the only thing about, and it was a big thing when we had the road expansion go through, none of y'all were on city council at that time. Back in my day, when I was first on city council back in 90-something, they did, that was the biggest thing, was that they put that stupid median in front of our, at that time it was city hall and police department, and so it limited our access, and to your building as well, so that the police would have to, if they wanted to go out that way, they'd have to do a U-E to get back and go that way. So, you know, being on 40 does have its challenges as well, but no, they don't go screaming out of the parking lot unless it's at like lunchtime. Then they, I'm just joking.
Lunchtime.
Just
So,
joking.
Donuts.
Ms.
anyway.
Leonard, so we're clear on what council is asking is to contact the owners of these properties. See what the costs, what they're asking. Also check in on the buildings that would have to be demolished, what that would entail. Have Georgina or someone in her department find out if new construction can go on these new sites raised buildings. And so just generally, give us an idea where we can go with this, okay?
Yes, sir.
And we're going to put that on the next workshop.
Sir, I'm going to ask a question, not to delay this any further. Did you want to discuss right now about the issues that have been brought to our attention?
Well, we can, yeah, we can get it out there. One of the things that's ongoing with the Soul Harbor Church property, we do have an agreement for purchase price. But during the due diligence that the buyer is doing, it's going to be a school. And one of the requirements of a school cannot have a radon level exceeding a certain point. And during their due diligence, the radon level that they have discovered, it exceeds what would be acceptable for a school. So staff is going to look into that. We do know that that building has basically been closed and unused for the best part of 2 years. And those that know a little bit about radon knows that radon is everywhere. Right now, there is radon in this building. It's radioactive material. It's part of decomposition. But at a certain level, it's dangerous. So one of the things that will increase a radon level is having a building that's closed and has no ventilation, where the radon gets within the building and has no way to escape. So part of what staff is going to have to do is to look at that and analyze and see if this is really an issue, possibly an issue that's because the building's been closed, what the resolution would be, and there are resolutions, and what we might have to do to continue forward with the contract. So that's where we're at. And this is right now within their due diligence period. They just notified us over the weekend that this is a concern. So that will be resolved. If we get a resolution on this, Troy, between now and our next scheduled meetings, I may have to call a special meeting, to address that, if there's something to talk about.
And just real quick, because when I happened to call Michelle today on something, Miss Leonard, sorry, on something totally different. And then she's like, I've got some news for you. So being the good little realtor that I am, I made some quick phone calls, got some information that I do want to share, and I will, of course, give you copies of my notes to put into the public records because I am reading from them. And I do good. But anyway, I did speak with, actually I spoke with a home inspector that I use, and he gave me the information about, if it's over 4 point something, then it's considered higher. I think ours were at 5 point something. I got them there. Yeah. But anyway, so I did speak with Danny Blankenship of Hometown Inspectors, and he does radon gas inspections. And I did ask him the questions about what you just said, hey, the building's been closed up, would that matter? He said, maybe somewhat, not, it might not change it a lot, but yeah, it doesn't hurt to air it out for probably a week, open up the windows, let it air out. Also, he stated, had it been raining? And I said, well, and at that time I hadn't received I hadn't been able to look at my computer to look at the report. But when I did later, I noticed that the inspection report was done on, the inspection was completed on April 4th. As we all know, on April 2nd, we had that tremendous rainfall come through. I don't even remember how many inches of rain we got. I know I was at an outdoor wedding. That was fun. And then also on the Thursday before that, we also had that really bad rainstorm. He said the rains will affect the results and then he started going into about how it terminates to the whatever. So that got over my pay grade. And I did ask him, I said, well, what would it cost to do a reinspection? And I told him it was a 6,000 square foot building. about the age, and it would be $375 for a reinspection. If we wanted to go ahead and have that done. He would not be able to do that for about a week. Y'all call anybody you want. There were 3 people that I was told to call. He was one of them. The company that did the other one, and somebody, I couldn't even find their phone number, so that could have been on me. But anyway, I asked about I know you have to put in like a system that I've seen it once or twice in homes over in Ocala. And for anybody to do the mediation, he said, well, the most expensive one is out of Jacksonville. I said, oh, okay. And he goes, there's only about 3. And he said, there's one in Orlando. There is one in Gainesville. I tried calling them. They didn't answer, but I did leave my name and number. And that was Gator Radon Incorporated that I left a message for. And like I said, there's one in Orlando. When I looked at our report today, the most expensive one in Jacksonville, yep, that's who they called, which is fine. I mean, I'm sure they didn't pick them for that reason. But so anyway, so there are some companies that I can give staff the numbers of that I did research, let them call to find out, what's the process for mitigation. Thank you. Can't say the word tonight. And, and I don't know if, because there had been such a bad rainstorm on that Saturday and that Thursday, if that had something to do with the levels, plus the building being closed up for so long. So we might want to.
Did he suggest what a mediation device or unit would cost?
No, not because he does not do it. He just told me that the one in Jacksonville was the most expensive. Those were his words. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that information. I will give it to Ms. Leonard for that staff can at least look into it. And then if the buyer wants anything, we at least have our information and our ducks in a row to, jump, not jump, and do whatever.
Well, I think what you're suggesting, and I like it, is to direct staff to air out the building and then to have our own person come out and test it. We shouldn't be going by someone else's results between now and our next meeting and give us a report.
And that was what I was going to suggest, is because of the contracts and the inspection period, closing dates June 1st. If you want staff to go ahead and have your own radon test done, please direct them to do it. I believe I heard the cost was somewhere around a couple $100.
$375.
You almost have to.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes.
Troy and Ari and I had a conversation this afternoon about that, and it's more than just airing out the building. Troy suggested getting leasing some industrial size fans and blow that building out. Also, my brother-in-law in Virginia actually he's retired now, he sold the business, was a radon inspection company. All homes test positive up there.
Yeah.
And the deal is, when you know they're coming to test, you get as many fans as you can and you blow out your basement first and every other room in your house. And it does affect the readings. They're testing parts per billion. So if we air this building out appropriately, we're probably going to be in a safe zone.
So is council
Safe
okay
zone.
with directing staff, which mostly would fall on Troy, to do everything you can to air out the building, and then at that point, then to have it retested and report back to us?
I would say that we would need to direct staff to go ahead. When is the expiration date of their due diligence?
They get 30 days
From the
date it was signed, from
18th.
March 28th, so coming up on the 28th of April.
Okay.
And
So
closing
that's
is June
actually, oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong day. Okay, so that's a Thursday. So
We
I
can
would
give them an extension, though.
Yeah, I mean, if something happens, but I would say let's go ahead and have staff. And again, I don't want us to air it out to make it like we're trying to.
No, it's perfectly legal. There's
Yeah,
nothing
no,
wrong
I
with
know,
that.
no, I know, but I just want to
There's
make
nothing wrong
sure,
with that.
I just want to make sure that I'm putting that out into the air to be heard by everybody. And then have, so maybe this week, air out the building, but go ahead and call Mr. Blankenship, because he is booked out until next week. So I think we need to, if that's who y'all want to go with, and I can get you that number. And hometown inspections, Ms. Louise, he was doing work, I know, when you were in real estate, Mr. Blankenship was. So he's been around for quite some time. So that would be the direction that I would give staff, if everybody's good with that.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. Troy, today is the 11th, so we're talking about 17 days before the due diligence period is over. Can we get done what's being recommended in 17 days? If not, then my next question is for Mr. Bracken. What do we have to do to extend the contract?
Well, it's okay. It's a normal inspection period. What you're talking about is that during their inspection period, they've come to you and said they have a radon level and they want some type of consideration in the purchase price. By you doing your own radon test, that's where you come back as a council to them in negotiation and say, hey, a radon test shows it's fine. Take it or leave it, or vice versa. How much is it going to cost? It's a negotiation thing at that point.
Or if we wanted to, we can say, you bought it for a very nice price, and if the mediation costs X amount of dollars.
Right, and that's fine. We'll give it.
You pay it,
Right, absolutely.
We're not moving off of our price.
So-
It's up to you.
So when we bought our house, and this is a very much smaller deal than a radon test, but turns out the dishwasher in the garage door didn't work. So at closing, give us a check for $2,000 for the dishwasher in the garage. Okay, done. Okay, so it's about negotiation.
But we don't need to wait 17 days. We don't need
No.
to make them, let's
Yeah.
do our due diligence, get this ordered. Troy can get those, and we open the windows. I've got some fans if you want them. And let's do that. Let's not wait till the last minute, because they might have other inspections that they're waiting to do before they, and they might not ask for anything. And I just think it is in our best interest to go ahead, air it out, get it done, and that way it's over and done with. If they do come to us, we have answers.
Troy, you good with this?
We'll start tomorrow in ventilating, airing out the building. I'll look into a forced air system. It's nothing more than an industrial fan. If I got to go buy one at Tractor Supply, we have 2 of them at our shop that we've never used. So if one of them at least works, I'll put it in the front door. We'll just do a forced air system for a couple of days. Won't leave it on overnight or anything. It'll be closed up every day at 5 o'clock, locked up. But we got 3 days this week remaining. We'll start again Monday, and whenever we can get the test scheduled, get it scheduled, whenever his calendar works. So we just air it out. Bottom line is, if we can't air it out in 6 days, then we got a real problem. Then no matter how much airing you do, you got a real problem. But you're only 1.7 above the allowable limit. So I'm very confident that it's because the building has been sealed up, airtight, and only entered and exited once a week. Somebody opens that door.
And the rain that was on that weekend.
And we have had a rainy week. Yes, this month we've got an average over 10 inches of rainfall, when we average any year prior to now is about 3 inches of rainfall. So.
Okay, we all good
We'll
with
do
that?
what we can.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bracken. Thank you, Troy. All right, now we're moving on to item number 12, the discussion of commercial use of city-owned property. What brought this to the attention is we have several pieces of property that the city owns, parks and whatever. And just like the Little League had questions how their property can be used and by who, found that very interesting because they were asking a question that we're asking. So on commercial use of city-owned properties, what differentiates our city property from Blue Run Park is the management plan, the original documents, the funding for it, the grants, the agreements, all spelled out clearly it was not supposed to have commercial activity. So all we did was went back and followed what the original agreements were. And in the agreements, it said that Dunnellon was responsible to come up with these ordinances and to enforce them. But the other government property that we own doesn't have those stipulations tied to it. It does allow the city to discuss and make provisions, whether it's temporary through permits, one-day events, things like that. Or as we have done right now, we have a contract with the Blue Gator, where they are actually under contract. They are actually using some of the parking facilities in our parking lot. So we have the opportunity to do that. What kind of complicates things right now, as far as the use of this parking lot and these facilities, is that there's some serious discussion going on right now of charging ramp fees to use the ramp. So to implement that, along with commercial use of the property, it's something that needs to be discussed. Another thing that needs to be discussed is there becomes a point when a facility is so used that safety becomes an issue, particularly when you have power boats around swimmers, around tubers, around kayakers. So we have safety issues. So we had talked about coming up with a resolution to deal with that. But where I'm at with it right now, since we have just passed the Blue Run ordinance, and a lot of businesses are adjusting to that ordinance, I would feel that we ought to just sit back and let the dust settle and just see how this all shakes out, so we know what we can do and what we can't do. Right now, I think Vice Mayor said it during the discussion last time, be careful we don't cut our nose off, and I kind of paid attention to that, thought about that, and said, well, what is the absolute hurry to respond to this? We need a little time to see how this is all coming together. Talking with Chief about the safety issue. Chief, if you want to speak to this, please. Safety is always a big concern for all of us. We're liable when we own property. And I went over this a little bit with Chief, my concerns, and Chief came up with an idea for safety until council decides what it may want to do going forward. Correct, Chief?
That is correct.
All right.
After Wednesday's meeting, I thought about it more and more about the safety issue and the fact that the city could be liable, because I heard a couple people even say, is the city reliable? Probably not, but you can sue for anything. So what I did, because I knew that this meeting was tonight and which way the council was going to go, I took it on myself to meet to make sure we had safety issues in place, or safety concerns in place, to at least we could meet tonight. So I did meet with Mr. Anderson and his group, and we come up with a plan. And I'm sorry I come in late, but I did have a very important meeting I had to attend. But it's my understanding y'all going to postpone it for a little bit until we can get more thoughts together and make a better plan. So we have made a plan for the safety down there, and I talked to him today, and it worked over the weekend. He's not going to park on the grass, designated an area for him to pull the van and the trailer. There's a certain place where the kayakers can come out of the water, and at no time are they going to interfere with somebody loading and unloading a boat. They're going to keep that open, and he will post people down there Saturday and Sunday, and once the season starts, it'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Is that what we have agreed to? Yes. So this is what I've done in the meantime to address my safety concerns and to protect the city.
Okay. This is just an open discussion, council, of what we may want to do, what we may not want to do. Vice Mayor, I know you have some opinions on this. Let's start off with you.
Okay, that's fine. I wish I'd known the information that you just gave me, because that's good to hear. And I appreciate that, again, I don't want us to cut our nose off to spite ourselves. Some of these companies have worked decades to get their businesses up and going, and they found a niche in Dunnellon that, probably any of us that would have thought about it back in the day would have probably kicked ourselves for not thinking about. I don't ever want us to be like Helen, Georgia, where all you see are these huge vans with the tubes top, up to the top and looking almost like a train going back and forth constantly. I never want Dunnellon to look like that. I went there last summer when I made my phone call in, and it was awful, in my opinion. So I know we're not going to be like that. However, I have always, and again, I don't care if it's Chris Anderson, I don't care if it's John, I don't care who it is, I'm talking as a general profession, okay? So it's not because I like you or dislike you. But I think, again, we have an asset here that we've pushed for, and now that it's here, then now we're like, oh, we don't like it, so now we're going to ruin everybody. And I think there needs to be a happy medium. I think Mr. Anderson at one time came to the city, tried to engage us in doing a work contract with us, a mutual agreement for what he can do and for what he can't do. I would like to see us in good, honest faith have a discussion with a business of that type to come to us and give us a plan that we can look at and see if it can even work down here or at any other park that we might have. That is a good business plan. I'm not going to tell them it's going to be free, sad to say, but I think as being fiscally responsible, we are always asking our staff to look to find different ways for us to enhance our coffers without putting a tax on people. I think that would be one way for us to do this. I think holding people to a standard that we require is another way of protecting our assets here in the city of Dunnellon and protecting those that come to our city to either live here, play here, or just stumble upon us. So if we go into these things not with a, I don't want you, go away, we've got too much already, we've made our max, let's stop this. If we go into an open dialogue with citizens of Dunnellon who have been here for a very long time, generations, I think that is a good thing, and or new business that comes into our town. It doesn't have to just be those that have lived here forever. But I really think we need an open dialogue, set our rules down, them give us what they would expect, and let us share our thoughts and have it as a public discussion and an open dialogue for that. We can let visitors come and enjoy what nature and God has given us. So but being so responsible to our city, because again, somebody said it last Wednesday, I remember growing up in this river when I was 2 years old, or, probably not that young, but you know what I mean. And trust me, the river was a lot clearer back when I was a kid in a John boat playing on the river. So it's kind of, I do know what we've had. So anyway, I think open dialogue and coming with proposals from those that are in the business make a lot of sense to me. Thank you, sir.
Okay. It's council discussion right now, but you can chime in. Ms. Cubbage?
Yeah, Dunnellon, we need another boat ramp. This is the problem, is simply congestion of too many people parking, not enough room in the parking lots, forcing people to come out of the river and have to stand and wait for the vans to come and get them. Storm comes, lightning, et cetera. So again, yeah, safety is the number one issue here. I respect those businesses that have been here well established. I don't know what kind of compromise can be made. The April 1st regulations were largely meant not to keep out Chris Anderson, but anybody else who could be coming from anywhere with a trailer, a van, and have a shuttle business. They could be coming all the way from Ocala, Tampa, whatever. Okay, so it wasn't just about shutting down one business. The problem is not having those regulations go into effect, ordinance rather, on April 1st was to limit others from coming in that are not established businesses here. John Sims singing tours. I don't know what to say about John's business other than that is such a highlight for people that come here and visit. And he's using the boat ramp. Same time people are inputting their motorized boats in. And then we have Chris coming in with his people, just not enough room there. So we're looking at a serious problem of simply congestion at this time. I'm not sure how that can be handled considering the limited size of the facility.
Ms. Kenny?
I found the conversation very confusing. And in terms of the way it needs to be approached, I think we need to identify that to the public and have an open meeting. But just to talk on such a wide scale, I think is not going to be effective. We need to advertise it and get public input and the people who are most involved. I think there are a lot of considerations that have to be made, but I think they can be made more specifically.
I agree. I agree. Right now, we don't really know how this is all going to shake out. To try to guess, which it would be a guess, what to do. I'm all for letting it ride for 30 to 60 days and see how it goes, get response, get reactions, see what issues arise. I mean, there's obvious issues, as Ms. Cubbage said, of having, and I've seen it, 7 or 8 boats and trailers waiting to use the ramp. See it all the time. And then you have shuttling service coming in, trying to get in there with all this traffic with the kayaks. And, there's a lot of things you can see, but we really don't know how it's all going to work out. I would feel a lot more comfortable to observe and then respond as need be. I think those that are involved with this are going to do their absolute best to make it happen. I think also if I was a businessman, which I am, I would realize that any time you're using someone else's property, that person that owns that property at any time can decide to discontinue doing business with you. So you're vulnerable when you're renting or leasing or using someone else's property. Your business has a knife pointed at it, that at any time, that property owner can say, I don't want to renew my lease. So as a businessman, you have to say, okay, I don't like that vulnerability. I have to figure out a way where I'm not under someone's decision whether or not I can continue doing my business or not. So what I would be doing, I understand River Rats has responded by making a deal at Rainbow Springs Clubhouse, where now they use that parking lot as their launch point and no longer use any government property except the KP Hole, which they have a livery pass to do. So that is a business right there that responded to a changing business environment. So all business people have to be aware that when the model of business changes, you have to change with it. You have to come up with ways. That's one of the challenges of business.
Where do they get their people off of the river at though?
You go to River Rats at Rainbow Springs parking lot where the restaurant is. You pay $20 parking fee. A $20 parking fee shuttles you to KP Hole. You can also rent a raft or equipment from them for an extra fee. Once you're taken to KP Hole, you have to pay your fee to get into KP Hole. And then for the most part, you have to come back to KP Hole, get back on their shuttle there, and they take you back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Where are they getting on at the shuttle coming off the river?
Right now, KP Hole is probably dealing with the same dilemma we were, where they have to now deal with the entry and the exit at the same place.
The only, okay.
So how they're doing it, I'm not sure, but that's the model right now. So anyway,
Jan, did you have something?
yeah, Jan?
I had contacted KP Hole about, did they have visitors that started off at a different place on the river and ended up at KP Hole for pickup, and they said that has never happened. And that was just last week I did contact them. So
Yeah, but what I described is this shuttle service
To KP Hole.
brings them there.
The shuttle service is taking them to KP Hole.
From Rainbow Springs.
So it's originating
Yeah,
there. Okay, sorry. I
and then they
misunderstood.
bring them back to KP Hole. So how they're dealing with that will be interesting. But that is an attempt to respond. Today, I know for a fact, my daughter, who's in town, wanted to go for a kayak trip. And she went to KP Hole at around noon, and they had already rented out all of their kayaks. They didn't have any more. So her, like a lot of people, once you come hundreds of miles and you want to do the Rainbow River, you're going to figure out a way. So she got on the internet on her own, and she actually did find River Rats and went over to Rainbow Springs and hired their shuttle. And they took her to KP Hole, and she could do it with their equipment. So, but then she had to come back to KP Hole and be picked up and be brought back. So how that works, I don't know. It just seems.
She was in
little
a kayak, not an inner tube. Right.
She's a kayak, yeah. Yeah, so you can go anywhere you want, but you have to come back to KP Hole.
That makes sense.
So, well, we're gonna, council, what, it seems to me like the suggestion is just to take a wait and see attitude for a while. No resolution right now or anything like that.
We should have a public meeting.
I mean, we can put it on the next agenda
Okay.
next month.
Let's make sure that we know what's on our agenda, because that'll be a hot topic button. And if we have 50 items on our agenda, we might need to do something special, which I despise saying. But I would tell the business owners, regardless who they are, to start planning. Okay, I'm going on. I'm doing entry or exiting from this location. What do I want to see? What can I offer the city? And at least them start thinking of their plans in advance, for that when we ask them, hey, what would work for you, so that we can work after we hear public comments. That way they're kind of thinking of what they can offer the city. And I think that's the best way to have an open dialogue with them as well during a public hearing. But meanwhile, they can do their homework and kind of figure out what they want to do. Does that sound like a good idea? Sir, and I'm used to saying Mr. Hand, so I apologize.
So don't respond to that. Hearing from everybody at an open public meeting, it's always a good thing.
Yeah, we can put it on the agenda and expand the time limit as much as we want, right, for discussion.
Great.
Okay, before we get off of that, Tim, were you going to speak to this topic?
His back's hurting.
What I would like, since two of our major commercial vendors are sitting here with John, Chris, would either one of you like to address the council?
Sing it to us, John. I don't want you to just talk to me.
Name and address, John.
John Sims, 11715 North Circle M Avenue, Dunnellon. Yeah, I just want to say, I didn't have anything prepared or anything. That first of all, I want to thank the city for so long. It's been like a symbiotic relationship between the tours and the city, bringing in people from all over and them discovering Dunnellon in our rivers and our shops and restaurants, hotels, VRBOs. It's been a great thing, and I do understand that things change, and I know that I'm hoping that we can all come together and figure out agreements and ways to make this happen. And I understand that there's only so much of an impact can be made in one certain spot, but I watched down there. I've been down there a long time, and is there congestion? Yes, but really, if you want to know what the congestion is, it's a guy that just bought a boat and never backed the boat in, and he's sitting down there for 30 minutes trying to get the boat in. Like, I don't use the ramp, and Chris doesn't really use the ramp. That's what causes the backup, is the use of the ramp. I use the dock, but not the ramp. So, and anyway, I just want to thank the city again for all these years of us, kind of just being hand in hand together here in the town. And I'm sure we'll make it work. And I thank you all for your consideration.
Thanks, sir.
Chris, would you like to speak?
Hard to follow John up there. Chris Anderson, 11463 North William Street. Just a couple things to answer, like you had mentioned. Everything that you talked about, I think that agreement that I presented months back when we were talking about the Blue Run Park ordinance, a lot of those things that I think you were talking about were actually in that agreement. But unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to have it discussed with council. I know it was presented, but here it is again. You were saying, present something, but I presented it, but never had the opportunity to have it discussed. To open that door, to see what needed to be tweaked, to make sure everybody's bases were covered, come up with some kind of a. Of course, it's not free. There was a dollar amount attached to that,
Yeah.
but we got to start somewhere. That was the whole goal, at that time, and unfortunately, as a result of that, we by default have ended up down here. I don't want to see him pulling out on Bill White's property. I don't think he would be too happy if they were down there on Palmetto pulling out at his house. But anyhow, that's the only other logical exit point. And like John said, and met with Chief, and we've come up with some things. They're instructed not to use the ramp, stay off to the side. Our drivers have been instructed to stay clear of the boaters. We have a designated area that we've been pulling off to the side. And, our guys, they do this on a daily basis. They're fast. I can load 5-10 kayaks faster than the guy can unstrap his boat before he launches it. and that's the truth. So we're in and we're out. We're not trying to, we want to get in and get out. That's the whole name of the game. But that's really all I have right now. And, we're trying to do what we can to work with everybody. So, I know they bring a lot of people into town. We bring a lot of people into town. They're eating at the restaurants. They're staying at the VRBOs. They're staying at the hotels. I'm a little biased. I like Blue Gator, so I send everybody to the Blue Gator. But they do eat at Swampy's as well. So, You know, they are spending money in this town. It might not come directly into the coffers of the city, you know, right off the bat, but it is trickling down, I promise you. So,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Very well. So Michelle, before I forget, on our next workshop, we need to continue to have discussion about the ramp fees.
Yes, sir.
Because we had that presentation. Okay, any last comments on the commercial use? I think we've decided to just play a dead hand for,
Are we going to have a public comment on May 4th?
absolutely, yeah. Put that on the agenda. Yeah, okay. So John and Chris will put this on the workshop for May, and we'll have extended time dedicated to it as we try to work through. You guys know what we're dealing with. You get it. You get it. So we'll see what we can do. All right, we move on to item number 13, council liaison reports and comments.
Some super glue on this. At our workshop last Wednesday, we had started a conversation about the e-bikes and the problem with them coming into Blue Run Park and at unsafe speed, causing pedestrians to step off the paved pathway and so on. So I think Chief and I both made some phone calls. I talked with the director of with the Coochie State Trail, Mark, and there are signs posted at the trailheads that say e-bikes or something to the effect that e-bikes 20 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour approaching trailheads. So also I talked with Will Watson actually this morning, and Will Watson is the manager of the Greenways, the western section. These are the guys that go out there and doing the mowing along the Blue Run Trail from Route 39 all the way into Blue Run Park. And Will said, okay, if Mark with the Coochie State Trail, State Park, he said, it's not our responsibility to put signs up on your piece of the bike path, which I found interesting. So he said, go ahead and call Will Watson. I know Will Watson, I've had conversations with him before. And Will called me this morning and said, we're not responsible for putting signs up that would say pedestrians have right of way. And he suggested that we get in touch with Jim Couliard because apparently they do have signs along their parks throughout the county that state pedestrians have right of way. So, Chief, did you find out anything different?
No, ma'am, I did talk to him, as, when you give me the phone number, and I basically got the same information. They're going to monitor, but they haven't had that many complaints about the e-bikes, but they will monitor, pay closer attention to it. But as they said, most of the e-bikes are elderly people. And, but they will monitor, and I did talk to them, so appreciate the phone number that you gave me. As a matter of fact, we've had 2 conversations.
So Chief, if I can just ask you a question. If someone has an e-bike, but they're pedaling during our part of the park, would they be okay if they're not using the electronic part of their bike, they're actually pedaling?
No, sir, they would be okay.
Yeah.
Put yourself in my position. You got an 80-some-year-old man who's on an e-bike and he's using it. I think I would be frowned upon if I tried to issue him a citation. But there again, if we saw a kid running around on it, a teenager or something, I would have no issue with him.
Understood.
So, Mayor White, there are no state statutes. I asked Will about this, and I also went online and checked it out. There is no state statute that says you can't use an e-bike on the trail or that you cannot go 20 miles per hour on the paved pathway. The problem here is that people who are walking their dogs or just taking a stroll on the path are not being given the right of way when these e-bikes are coming in, regardless of what speed. Especially, let's say, if you have a husband and wife and they're e-biking together, which is very common out there. So again, I like Will Watson's suggestion, and I think we should pursue it. He said, call Jim Couillard, and because they have the signs and they are managing our section of the paved path, that being, it's not called, the path that comes into Blue Run Park is not called the Withlacoochee Trail. The Withlacoochee Trail ends at 39, okay? So we are responsible ourselves, if we want to put signs up that say pedestrians have right of way, then that would be through Marion County Parks and Recreation to do that. So I suggest we speak with Jim Couillard, see if we can get those signs posted.
Yes. Yes.
Can we do that?
Yeah, Michelle, here again, someone reach out to Jim Couillard and just go over the bike thing and see what he suggests with the county. I'm like with Chief, we have a lot of people that are elderly that have these e-bikes that they pedal some of the time, and so sometimes it gets a little crazy when you try to over-regulate. You lose common sense, you know? But I get it. I said last time, oftentimes you're walking on that trail and someone on a bike comes from behind you, and basically at the last minute they say, make way, and you're the one that has to get out of their way, rather than them slow down or go around you or something. I mean, that really
Keep a
irritates.
stick with you.
That really irritates me. Okay, anything else, Ms. Cummings, Ms. Kenny? Just one announcement. I don't know if it's verifiable or not, but I heard verified, but I hear KP Hole on May 1st is going to increase their fee from $5 to $7. Maybe, Michelle, we're giving you a lot to do. Why don't you verify that?
No problem.
That's the only thing I have. All right, we go to number 14, department head reports. Michelle, you can go down the line and let your department heads speak in the order that you would wish.
Go ahead, Georgina.
Hello.
Hi. So sweet.
All right.
Well, my department reports are, I had 38 building permits for the month of March.
Wow.
32 of those were residential permits, 6 were commercial. I had 2 new homes among those. As far as zoning permits, I had 3 tree removal permits. I had 2 certificate of appropriateness and 2 special events, and 1 change of occupancy, that meaning 1 new business in town. And that name is We Insure Grayton Insurance. They went in front of the historic board for their signage and everything. It looks like they're gonna have a really nice sign up. And they are ready to go. They're ready to start very soon. As far as code enforcement, I know that has been an ongoing issue, and I just want to say that I will be short of a code enforcement officer, or part-time code enforcement officer is not going to be working in code enforcement anymore. So we are going to have to hire a code enforcement officer, and we are going to be presenting to council what we think would be the best salary range and job description for this position. It is our recommendation that we make it a full-time, but all that information is going to come to you in the next workshop. As far as what we have right now, we just advised Municipal Services to bring in one of their code enforcement officers who is certified to help us with some of the pressing issues that we have. He's going to be tackling two major cases that we've had going on for a while so that we can get to the good resolution with that and close it out hopefully soon. So he's been working with me very closely in handling that one, those two actually. As far as properties that we had mentioned in the past that were considered blighted within our department in the historic district, we've been addressing those properties with our existing staff. And so far, we had one notice, a courtesy notice went out. We didn't get any reply back, so we are issuing a notice of violation on that one. We have 3 of those properties that we will be issuing courtesy notice of violations as we speak, actually, because I have them written down and ready to go tomorrow. And we've made contact with 2 other properties that are one of them is already compliant, and the other one it's working and becoming compliant very soon. So that has been very productive so far. This process started back in December. As I promised council, I was going to be working on those, and we just have to follow the process and see what comes out of that. But the outcome has been pretty productive so far. We also reached out to Public Works and asked for them to help us with the picking up of signs in the area, since we don't have the staff and the manpower to do that. And they were nice enough to join in the effort. So they're going to be, Troy's staff is going to be helping us cleaning out the signs in the right of way. So hopefully that will help with that situation.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Ms. Ways, I'm sorry. Just real quick, just because realtors sometimes put their signs in the right of way instead of the property, are y'all going to pick them up and take them to the thing, or are you just going to kind of move them back onto the property? Just, but and that way I can also tell the realtors that I know as well.
They're going to be picked up, and you know, we're going to try to reach out as much as we can, because we know that those specific signs are expensive. So we will try to reach out and let, you know, everyone know, but eventually everybody's going to get in the swing of things and do the
I'll go
right
ahead
thing.
and I mean, again, I don't see too often, but I'll make sure that I let Marion County and Citrus County Realtor Associations know. Maybe they can put a little zap that we get on our sheets every morning. So I'll go ahead and do that if that's okay with everybody.
Sure.
Okay.
Here's a specific portion of the code that covers real estate signs.
Right.
Yes, they're
So if you can just share that on your website.
And I can provide that to you, so you can send it over. As far as code enforcement, code amendments, we're working with the city attorney on 5 ordinances that hopefully we're going to have very soon. One is the vacation rental registration, which you briefly mentioned. The life work, mobile vending, property maintenance, and vacant properties. So this is all coming up, and we're working with the city attorney to get those the way they should. All right.
God bless you.
Thank you.
As far as As far as the planning portion of my department, I'm working on the RFP for the wayfinding signs, and we'll be submitting that to the city attorney very soon for review and legal approval. And I will finalize the letter for the Main Street reorganization for the following workshop. Hopefully you'll have it in front of you for review. And that's pretty much it for my department. I have been able to work on planning because now I have an assistant.
Well, I would say, Georgina, that this council really realizes and recognizes the need for a code enforcement person.
It's
So
very
if
important.
staff comes up with a recommendation and suggestions, I think we would do everything we could to make that happen. There's no doubt in our mind, we know that's a big hole in our operation right now. Maybe our biggest problem right now. So we're all ears.
Thank
know.
you. You will have a full report next workshop. Hopefully that will, address, it's going to be a full analysis on what we think we should have as a full employed code enforcement officer. So,
Hey, Ms. Leonard, who's next?
Troy?
I gave you a pretty thorough update on Wednesday. I'm not going to waste any more of your time tonight. I've got 3 projects open and running, and we'll keep you informed as we move along.
I really don't have anything. That's sweet. I'm going to give a financial update at the next council meeting in May for both CRA and general fund. That's all I have.
Okay.
Chief, did you want to?
I do. Look, from time to time, I give you the amount of people that we have arrested, some felony, some misdemeanors. But what I'm going to do now is give you an update of what's happened to some of these people in the court system. This is from 3/1 to 3/31. Keep in mind, these cases that I'm talking about could be up to a year old. Some of them could be a week old, but they've made it through the court system, and this is what the state attorney has, or the courts have done to some of these people. And I'm going to give you their names because it's public record, and we need to know who some of these people are.
That's right.
Jeremiah Bennett received a sentence for 364 days in the jail. That means he was charged with a misdemeanor, and he got 364 days. Eric Slaughter was sent to prison for 30 months. Lorenzo Baker was sent to prison for 60 months. This one here, they null prost this one, which means that it could be a number of reasons why they didn't file on the case. It could be the victim didn't show or something else happened to the case. I said Lorenzo Baker, he got 2, but they're running concurrent. 2 60-month sentences. Jamie Arredondo, 160 days in jail, 180 days in jail. Richard Pelt, he was sentenced twice, once for 124 days, then he must serve an additional 60 days because he had 2 different charges. Kayla Glass, 150 days in jail. This must have been a minor misdemeanor. Abraham Grimes got 28 days in jail. We have several cases where they have pled guilty, and they're waiting on sentences. I've just counted 6 of those. They've already pled, and now they're waiting to go back to court to see what the courts are going to do to them. This one here, He negotiated a plea, Donna Bankard. She got 6 months in prison, and she also got credited for 1 day in jail. So as you can see, not only do we make the cases, but we send a lot of people to prison from this little police department here in Dunnellon. I'm very proud of the officers, what we have, and the jobs that they do. So it's just a little bit of what we get done. Thank you.
I have a question, Chief. Out of those cases, and then you don't have to give me an exact answer, but how many of these were for breaking and entering, robbery, burglary?
Well, I don't know which ones was what, because
Right.
we don't get that back from the state attorney. We'd have to look it up. But if they went to prison, it's a felony.
Right.
If they got jail time, it was misdemeanors.
Okay.
But I'd have to sit there and pull every case, because when we
Right.
get it back from the state attorney, all they do is give us
Sentencing.
what they went to prison for. And we get this report every month, and I'll start sharing it with you every month.
I have another question. Could we get this in the Riverland News? I think that would be, this is information that our public,
I'd have to
taxpayers,
redo it
business
because it's-
owners.
Yeah, I could get that to them.
I think that would be a good idea because a lot of people aren't aware of how much crime is actually related to property damage, theft, burglary, breaking and entering. And I think that would be of interest to the public.
I think so. Thank you, ma'am. And I'd be more than happy to do it, but this is just some of the cases that you can
Yes.
see for 1 month.
Right. That's amazing. Thank
To
you.
keep the peace in Dunnellon.
Good job.
One question I have for you, Chief. What's the police report on Boomtown Days? How'd we do?
It was horrible.
I mean, with that crowd, there had to have been some problem somewhere.
We did have,
Gunfight?
we did have one problem. Y'all experienced the same problem here with the same man. But they took him to the side, took him to the police department, spent about a half an hour with him because he was on his way to get a megaphone. His voice wasn't loud enough and he was going to go get a megaphone. But we got called right away that he was there, and two of the officers spent 30 to 45 minutes with him and talked him out of the megaphone, and actually he left town without going back. So other than that, of course, nobody in the crowd knew it, nobody else knew it but us, that he was going to create a problem, but we stopped it before it started. Other than that, busy, expect it because there's a crowd. Wasn't you there? No, you wasn't there? Okay. But all the reports I got from the 3 officers that was there, nothing bad happened except for this guy wanting to start problems. So it was a good event.
Your officers were great, the reserve officers.
Ron Bray, yes.
No, I thought it had a different name.
No, Bray was there.
Oh, was it? Okay. Anyway, he was wonderful. He actually danced to the YMCA song, and it was great. And our staff was wonderful. Y'all did a great job at the booth, and I should have said that during comments, so I'm going to take that quick second to compliment y'all again on your hard efforts to represent the city in a good, positive light, and you're a great face for us as representation. So good ambassadors. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good event.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
Is that it?
That's it.
Can I sit down?
Sit down.
For those of you that may have missed Boomtown Days, it was, I've never seen it so packed as it was Saturday. It was, you would have thought you were on Main Street in Disney World. It was, I mean, in a good way. I mean, it was really a lot of people there.
It was a lot of fun, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just have one comment for y'all. I just want to remind all of the council about the beach cleanup this Thursday, April 14th, from 9 to 11 a.m. That's being coordinated by the One Rake at a Time Incorporated organization. It's going to be at Dinkins Park, AKA City Beach. And Public Works has offered to, if people want to carpool, so if y'all want to carpool, you can park at Public Works. They're going to be shuttling people over to the beach. But we do ask that if you do want to do that, that you arrive at Public Works between like 8:30 and 8:50 because the cleanup does start at 9 o'clock. And
Thank
please
you, ma'am.
dress accordingly. If you do decide to come, you will get wet.
All right, thank you. Anyone else, department heads?
No, sir, I don't believe we have any.
City attorney report.
Very briefly, I corresponded by phone with Mr. Hand. There are no announcements yet to be made, but everybody's fine.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, that's all I care about.
Tim, normally we don't have any additional comments, but I see you're sitting on the edge of your seat. Are you just dying to address us one more time? No? Are you ready to hit? You're ready to get out of here? Oh.
That's Louise, not me.
No, you're just saying, I want to get out of here.
Just 4 minutes.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Ms. Dunn, I think, would like to speak.
Oh, okay, Ms. Dunn, sure. Anybody who sticks with us this late, you're going to get your chance to speak.
Kathy Dunn, 11386 Hendricks Drive. I thought the idea you had about Mike McQuaig putting information about the arrest is great. I would like to ask our Georgina to also put an update in the Riverland News and on a Facebook page all about Dunnellon or whatever it is, talking about the projects that she's working on with code enforcement so that the citizens know what our staff is doing down here that we're supporting. Also wanted to find out about Main Street. I'm hoping that we're going to get that, and I know she's working hard on that. If we can help, please let us know. Also, our volunteers are going to help out at City Beach. Don't forget about them. I also thought about police, the signs that people are putting out. Why can't the police also be used to help pick up those signs? It seems like every time something comes up, we put it on Public Works, Public Works, Public Works. It's got to be a group effort here. Also, why can't we start looking at using the criminal justice system like they do in Williston to help us with cleaning up our town, because they seem to be fine in Williston, and I think it would be a good idea. Also for Mrs. Hanchar, as far as the real estate signs, we do have a lot of real estate signs that are out of compliance with being too tall. And if you know the people with Reaction Realty that have the tattered signs by KFC, if you know them, could you call them and ask them to let's either get new or take them down? Anyway, I just would like.
One to call people.
Well, I mean, you offered, so I'm taking you up on it. The other thing is, I just think we have to think out of the box, and when we have a town, a small town of 2,000 people, we're still $1.9 million in debt. Sometimes we have to step up and use the staff that we have rather than hiring new. And I think we could use our police to be code enforcement officers. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Anybody else? Anybody else?
No one.
Motion to
Peace.
adjourn?
See ya.
Okay, unanimous, thank you. Thank you, everyone.